What's up, people? You're listening and watching the RAPS Talk podcast presented by HipHoopJunkies.com and HoopHeadsNorth.com with their sponsor, FanEssentials.net. This is Hoops Talk out of Halifax, RAPS Talk, episode 89. My name is Romy Aquino. I have with me
Jean-Francois.
And
Yui, I believed the whole time, Sam Pang.
let's get right into it. 102-99 win for the Raptors. Game 5. Raptors up 3-2 in the series. An emotional roller coaster of a game. Had the makings of a Game 4 from the start, but the Raptors kind of came through and pulled through, and it was a nail-biter to the end. But we, the fourth, the Toronto Raptors hold Indiana Pacers to 9 points in the fourth quarter. Did you guys see this? You saw this coming, Yui?
Yeah, basically. No. with the sports analogy though, like you saw Tim and Sid talking and everybody talking. I was thinking, this is the series right here with the fighting combat sports analogy. They need the knockout in the fourth to even have a chance. And they got that knockout, that 21-2 run, and yeah, they just stepped up and did what they needed to do. A little help from Vogel sitting the two main players for the Pacers, PG and George Hill. That helped a little bit, but the Raptors took it away from them in the end. And thank goodness that 3 at the end didn't count.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of the storyline I think that's going to come out of this is Frank Vogel pulling Paul George and George Hill on the bench to start the fourth quarter. Sean, was that the biggest mistake from the Pacers side of things?
I think so, because those are the two guys that have had the most impact this series, and it was like you saw it not work earlier in the game. So it wasn't even something that he got bit by trying to give his guys some rests at a key time. He had been his team had been negatively affected by this, adversely affected by this, just earlier in the game when the Raptors were able to put together another big run. So for him to do it again, to roll the dice and risk that again in the fourth quarter was very surprising.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where you think that it would have been maybe a bit smarter to kind of put the pressure on, build up a bigger lead, and then if you have a kind of a cushion, then you can put them on the bench. But he took a gamble, and it didn't pay off. So that was kind of the story of the game. But let's kind of rewind and back up to the beginning. We discussed this on the last podcast. What adjustments the Raptors would have had to made for this Game 5, and one of them was the lineup change. I don't know who was thinking about. I can go back. Who suggested Patterson starting? But that's what Coach Casey did. He put Patterson in place of Luis Scola. What did you guys think of that move going into this game?
I expected that Coach Casey was going to do something, but I was a little bit surprised that he did do that. I thought that maybe he would still start Scola, but take him out pretty quick, like let him play like 5 minutes and then immediately go to the bench. So I am surprised that in the end he decided to go with Patterson starting, because I thought that he would still play Scola, but just kind of get him in there and then pull him out. But I guess he just didn't like the effort. Well, not even the effort, just the results, the production that Scola had been giving the team, or hadn't been giving the team, unfortunately. And I was a little bit surprised that he decided to make that wholesale starting lineup change with power forward position.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the sample size has gotten big enough where, okay, it's time to try something different. Because, I mean, like you were saying, to go in for 10 minutes just to kind of, I guess, be respectful to his career and what he's done. No, at this point, you got to get the win, and he hasn't been doing anything. And being the stretch forward and hitting those threes like he's done during the season, even though he only just really started doing that this season, they haven't been falling, so they got to try to find something else. But it's funny, they still ended up getting beat in the first quarter, but you know, just to shake things up.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the first quarter, I mean, the Raptors, it kind of you kind of saw the same story where I mean the Pacers were getting a lot of easy buckets, and Paul George again was huge in this one. 39 points, 11-19 from the field, 5 threes, perfect from the line, 12 for 12, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals and a block. So I mean the Raptors kind of didn't have an answer for Paul George. DeMar Carroll wasn't as effective as he was on George as he has been in previous games. Um, so first half, I mean, it was kind of a disappointing half that we wanted to see from the Raptors. Where were you guys thinking about the Raptors' performance in the first 2 quarters?
Why can't you close down shooters on the perimeter? Why can't you find the last guy on the Pacers passing rotation offensively? Well, that guy was always open. The Raptors were never able to get there in time. It was always like a last-ditch effort trying to jump out at a shooter as opposed to forcing the guy off the three-point line and making him drive or kick it back around. It's 5v5 out there. Like, who are you double teaming? If Paul George is open or George Hill is open, like who are you double teaming? Like I didn't get it. So to me, that was the most frustrating thing about the game in general, because even the last shot by
Solomon Hill.
Solomon Hill, he was basically wide open. So the Raptors are going to have to make a real concerted effort go back and look at the tape and figure out why they weren't able to get out to the shooters on the perimeter, because that absolutely killed them. Indiana went 7 of 10 from 3 in the first quarter alone. And then in the first half, they were like 11 of 17. Like, that's unbelievable, man. That's 33 points in the first half alone on threes. Like, that can't, you got to be able to do a better job than that.
Yeah, and they got to. It's like they know Indiana is going to get into their offense quickly. It's not necessarily fast break points, but just getting back and starting it quickly. So instead of, even though you may be ahead of the guy you're defending, you got to be turned around and in your defensive stance before they even get a chance. Otherwise, you're stuck with not a low base of gravity, and the guy can just go around you. Your lateral movement's not as good, and you're getting beat. So you got to, Casey was saying it, you got to sprint back and turn around and be ready to defend. Just because you're back doesn't mean you're really back and defending.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know they were. I mean, early on, they had a few turnovers that turned into Indiana baskets, which kind of was just. I mean, looked like a resemblance to the last game. But I mean, they did make the adjustments, especially in the fourth quarter. Now, some of the guys that Coach Casey had to switch off of JV and kind of went with some of the second unit, and had Biombo, Corey Joseph, Norm Powell, T. Ross got some minutes. So what did you think of the performance of these guys and how they kind of locked down in the second half?
I thought that they were really an integral part of what the Raptors were doing, especially in that run to start the fourth quarter specifically. But I really was impressed with the way Norm Powell came in and played, Corey Joseph as well. Whenever Corey Joseph is in the game, whether it's he's the main point guard or if he's sharing the backcourt duties with Lowry, there's just an extra level of calm when he's out there, and he's always able to make the right play or is trying to make the right play, which helps the rest of the Raptors offense kind of become a little bit more stabilized and not as frenetic. In the playoffs, you want to stay the course and be able to run the things that have worked for you throughout the year and be able to do what the coaches are looking for you to be able to do. So I think that he brings a real calming steadiness to the team when he's on the field, on the court, and it's great to see.
Yeah, comment on the fourth quarter there. Terrence Ross took those like 4 threes within what, like a 2 or 3 minute span. I was actually okay with that because he hit the first one,
Yeah,
stepped into it. It was a good look. He's got a good stroke. He's shown he can be on fire at times, catch fire, and I don't know. It's just good to see him want to step up in those situations, even though he didn't hit all of them. Just the first one, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
um,
I like yeah, yeah. I see where you're coming from. It hurt me to see those miss, like those threes.
yeah, I know they were
I
painful.
mean,
It's like,
I hear
come
what you're
on,
saying.
slow
Now
down.
that said, he got the quick
Yeah,
sub after
especially
that. DeRozan came in like right after that though.
especially too, like they were saying, like because he does have the ability to put it on the floor as well, and he's shown the ability to stop and pop off the dribble, off the one-on-one moves as well. So, but yeah, I just at times he's been timid in the past, and to see him be aggressive and want to try to step up was good for me. For Biombo, I wish Jonas and Biombo could run into each other really fast and become one person, because that would be an NBA All-Star with Biombo's defense and
yeah,
JV's offense. Would
yeah.
be crazy.
That
But I
would
mean,
be.
JV's still getting better on defense
Mhm.
still, but I mean, Biombo's I think another level.
Yeah, Biombo, big game, 10 points, 16 boards. Yeah, he was definitely big in the second half. Yeah, Terrence Ross, 1 for 6 from three, but like you said, Yui, like if he hits two, like if he hits a second three, I know they would have been a backbreaker for Indiana.
Yeah, oh for sure.
And
They were like momentum
yeah,
shots for
That
the
sure.
would have put them
ACC,
up 9, right? If he hit that one.
Yeah.
and so yeah, the ACC would have blown up. I mean, if he hit it, and I mean, it's too bad. Like you kind of want T. Ross to like to kind of break out and like in these playoffs because I mean he was so disappointing last year. And but yeah, but it was disappointing. But I mean, to have the confidence to have that to try and take that moment and put the Raptors up would have been huge for his confidence. But tonight wasn't the night. I mean, he did hit that one big three. But yeah, Corey Joseph, Biombo, Norm Powell had a phenomenal game, 10 points. I mean, when he had that dunk mid
Oh yeah.
fourth quarter, that was just the ACC went insane. So I mean, he's been phenomenal for a rookie to step up in. I mean, in a big game like this, a crucial game. I mean, the Raptors lose this game. I mean, you got to be really. I mean, I wouldn't be confident at all. I'm going into Indiana being down 3-2. But yeah, Norm Powell to be a rookie with the 46th pick and then being drafted to perform like this. I mean, it's been pretty special.
That's a Spurs type pick, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing that they're able to find that diamond in the rough. And he was a 4-year guy too, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
he was. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's like before it used to be, going to Europe and finding those second round gems. Now it seems to starting to be to find those 4-year guys that people are just passing up because there must be a problem with them. They played 4 years in college, but now he's ready to step up because of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. Um, so I mean, overall, the Raptors shot 23%, 6 of 26 from 3-point land. Um, that's a good chunk of that is from T. Ross. Kyle Lowry, um, he did the little things in this game, but in terms of the shooting, he was 3 of 11, 14 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. What did you guys think of Kyle Lowry's performance tonight?
It was decent. He stuck with it, like you said. He did things that he needed to do to try to help make a difference. Drew a key offensive foul, going against Paul George late in the game, and tried to do it earlier in the game as well. Was on the floor going for loose balls, and Paul George picked up another technical when he thought that Kyle Lowry was basically trying to roll on him, which wasn't the case when you look at the
Keeps going
replay.
like
So there was, a lot of things like that I liked, like just that grittiness, just sticking with it. trying to make plays, trying to drive into the key and kick it out. Although the one play at the end of the game that killed me was when he drove. The Raptors were up 1, and it would have put them up 3, or maybe they were up 3 and it would have put them up 5. I think it was 3 and they would have put them up 5. He drove and he like short armed the floater, and it basically went for an easy block going the other way. Like, oh man, like short arm that. Like he didn't even go high enough to get it over top of Yamahimi or Miles Turner, whoever it was that blocked the shot. I was like, oh my gosh, like that was like the worst possible time to like have short armed, you know what I mean? A shot like that. But
that was like me getting blocked by DeAndre Jordan or something.
Tough one, right? Yeah. It was like bringing back memories of when he got blocked in Game 7 against the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, he also got, I think it was under a minute left, a key tip out for a second. That was huge. I was like, yes, that was
like a redemption play, you know, like he was able to get up there within the trees and tap it out. That was a big play. So those are the kind of things that Kyle did, which he's been trying to do all series. You know, like he has been struggling with his shot, but he's consistently been trying to get involved, you know, and doing the things that don't always show up on the stat sheet. I really credit him there for that.
And amazing as they played in the fourth quarter, they still haven't had any really long stretches of DeMar and Lowry getting it going together at the same time. So
not at all.
They can still go up, which is up 3-2, and they can still go up. Hopefully they can find it in Game 6.
Yeah. That's right.
But I mean, like, if the Raptors lose this series and Lowry struggles the whole time, I mean, that's gonna be tough. I mean, I was reading the tweet. It's saying like if we lose this series, Lowry's showing up next year weighing 110 pounds. It's gonna work out. But anyhow, Lowry. I mean, hopefully, Game 6, I mean, this is the time for it where he can kind of put the team on his back and kind of close the series out. But I mean, we've been saying it all series, so we'll see what happens. The whole when Stuckey fell out of bounds there, and which I was thinking that with Drake clapping in Stuckey's.
all about it, man. I mean, that's that's the benefit of having a huge Raptors fan kind of sitting courtside. He was giving it to Miles Turner earlier in the game too when he got substituted out. So yeah, I'm all for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Drake picks good guys though, right? Like you don't want him doing that to Paul George or LeBron James or someone like that, right? you want to pick the guys like Stuckey ended up 1 for 10. So Drake got in his head, man. He got in his head.
Yeah, you don't want to go Mark Cuban style or Charlie V. Dallas and OKC.
That's right. You remember when the Raptors played the Bulls earlier this season, and he did the same thing to the Bulls' Justin Holiday, and he was like clapping and like yelling right behind him, and it forced the 5-second inbound turnover?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was the same kind of thing. Drake picked the right guy. Like, he didn't do it to, Jimmy Butler or D Rose or Pau Gasol. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, it was fun, and it always makes for a great internet meme when Drake does those things. So.
Oh, for sure. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Have we not talked about the man of the game for the Toronto Raptors yet?
No, who?
No.
DeMar DeRozan. Did we get his scoreline yet?
I was going to mix it up. DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, Rome, serve it up. Come on.
I was waiting, man. I was waiting. We got to spend a solid 10 minutes, 15 minutes on him alone.
DeMar DeRozan, 34 points, 10 of 22, 12 of 13 from the free throw line, 39 minutes, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He broke out. I mean, he hit. Did you notice that he hit his first 3-pointer of the series in this game?
I only knew that when they said it in the broadcast. Like, I'm sure mentally I knew
Mhm.
that, but because he had been shooting so poorly, it was kind of like, even if you had hit a three, well, it didn't really make a difference in those earlier games. So, and it worked out well because he ended up hitting two tonight.
Mhm. Mhm. So yeah, let's talk about him. DeMar DeRozan. Um, what do you think? What it was? Is it just the terrible loss in Game 4 that kind of sparked him to come on strong? And what did Indiana not do to stop him?
From what I saw, and feel free to chime in or add in as well, guys. I just saw him taking the shots that he had normally been taking without hesitation. He would get into a spot, he would elevate and shoot. Not too much ISO, spin dribbling and stuff. There'd be times where he would get it and he would try to find an extra look by utilizing a spin move or a dribble or a crossover. But for the most part, he would get the ball. He'd be confident with it. He would, if he hesitated, he was normally then looking to drive and go straight to the rack, put down a couple dunks, a couple nice putbacks and shots off the backboard for a couple easy scores as well in the key. And I just think that was the big difference. He was finding his spots. I know that they had looked at a lot of game film and were trying to find ways that he could get some of those easier shots, like Coach Casey had said. But that just seemed to really be the difference tonight. He just looked more comfortable, but there was less hesitation and was taking the shots that he was presented and was saw the first few go down, and he just kept after it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way George Hill and Paul George came out in Game 4, how they just made up their mind to make quick decisions and go to the hoop and let what happens happen. I think DeMar, he might have been overthinking it. How we were talking about how he has become a better passer, maybe trying to anticipate where the double or where the defense is going to rotate and do all that stuff. But his bread and butter is doing what he does. He's the two guard. He's the shooting guard. He's got to shoot. So he was definitely a lot more decisive with it, and then kind of dictate what's going to happen himself, and then adjust to what the defense throws at him. Because a key point at the end was when he drove, I think with about a minute left, he got one of his two assists to Corey Joseph in the corner when the defense rotated to him.
That was so beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. DeMar, like you were saying in the last podcast, I mean, he was trying to do too much, looking to be a facilitator, and he kind of went to what he does best and what he's been doing all year. So it's good to see DeMar DeRozan have a breakout game.
Back to the free throw line like he had been as well, which was fantastic.
Yeah. So good to see him come out. Hopefully we can see Lowry come out on the next game. Next game is on Friday. Where do you see the starting lineup on Friday? Do you think it's going to be the same lineup as tonight?
I think so. The only other thing maybe, the only other thing, and I don't even know if they would do this because you still want to keep some size because Indiana's pretty big. Their forwards through centers are long guys. I was thinking maybe they would make the adjustment of putting Norm Powell in the lineup, but that doesn't make sense because you need that size, and because Louis Scola hasn't played well, you probably don't go back to him at this point. Maybe the next series, you give him some time off the bench, so just to give Patrick Patterson a breather. But I think just based off the fact that they won tonight, even though it wasn't the easiest win, they probably stick with this lineup.
Yeah, I think so too. You don't want to making too many changes, and it's pretty crazy. I'm just looking at this now. Other than DeMar and Lowry were both upper 30 minutes. Everybody else, the next 6 rotation guys were mid-20s, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then T. Ross was 14 minutes, but that's that's a pretty even rotation of guys that can bring different aspects, but still good aspects to the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for
And man,
sure.
shout out my LA cousins. I'm just, if the Raptors are able to win this series, I still haven't mentioned it to them, but about Norman Powell, because they love their West Coast guys. They know DeMar's big, but yeah, Norman Powell, man. Got to thank them for that West Coast Norman Powell, because he's been a difference maker.
Yeah,
Most
definitely.
definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It's been great to see him just be able to rise to the occasion, and all these minutes and all these different experiences just, they mean so much. They're invaluable experiences, really, for a player of his youth and in his growing process as a player, to be able to get these kind of experiences under your belt in your rookie year, and
Yeah.
playing such integral minutes and against the best player in the series in Paul George, and having to help defend him. That's a big deal. A
Yeah,
big.
definitely huge for his confidence going into his second year. It'd be
Oh
Second,
my
yeah.
goodness.
so excited to see what he does next year.
So
Yeah.
so true. So true.
Mhm.
And one other thing, guys, how about the fact that the Raptors were able to get a win despite Paul George having his best game of the series? 39 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, a block shot. He only turned the ball over 3 times. He was 12 of 12 from the free throw line. He made 5 of his 11 three-point shots and shot 11 of 19 from the field. Like, he had a monster game by, like, any way you slice the dice, any way you want to slice it, and or dice it up, and the Raptors managed to come away with a win. Like, that's big as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely been huge. I mean, Yamahimi was a factor last game, in George Hill. Yamahimi, I think he's playing with a sore back. I mean,
He was today, yeah.
yeah. So he only played 18 minutes and he had 4 points. And Monte Ellis, I mean, same with him. Like, he could go off. I mean, for 20, 30 on any given night, but 2 for 10 from the field and just 8 points. So um, the the fact that they were able to hold like the rest of the guys, um, hold them back and just let just George go off. I mean, it's definitely huge. That fourth quarter, I mean, obviously, um, that was the best fourth quarter you would ever see of Toronto Raptors basketball. And I think it was. I know it was. I think I read it was the biggest comeback in franchise history, playoff comeback. So
They needed it, that's for sure.
yeah, no,
Like you said, Yui, they needed to come up with that knockout, and that was the only way it was going to get done. And look, like, they only won by 3. Like, they needed every last bit of those points, and they needed to stop Indiana from scoring every last bit of those points themselves.
Yeah, and they weren't able to cut in the lead for a long time there, and I
Mhm.
just kept on thinking they're matching basket for basket, basket for basket. Oh man, they're not going to hold them under 100 points, and they did end up holding them under 100 points.
I know. I couldn't believe that because they had 90 yeah
1
90
at
points.
halftime.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they had 90 points at the end of 3. So I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just too much. That's what I thought. And then the fact that they went on that 21-2 run, um, I mean, is pretty special. And
yeah.
how
Have
does
the
it work?
Raptors ever held an opponent to single digits in a quarter before? Like, ever? Like, that's something we'd have
Yeah,
to
like not
research
even a regular
for
season.
another time. I'm sure the stat guys on Twitter will share that information. But I mean, I certainly don't remember a recent quarter like that. And if it was probably against, like, the Nets or the Sixers or something like that.
And
Mhm.
that was another thing I was thinking too was at the beginning of the fourth, I was thinking, are we ever going to see the Game 3 Raptors again this series? Just because of the way this game was going after 3 quarters. And to
Mhm.
see it come out in full flight in the fourth quarter, I was like, yes! I
Yeah,
believe!
yeah. They had to dig in deep to get that win, man.
Super deep.
So game 6, they can close it out on Friday. I don't know if there's a time set yet. I don't want to.
I
I don't
don't
want
think there is.
to.
Just like last time, the time wasn't set for game 5, tonight's game, until a couple days after. So
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what adjustments Indiana makes. But yeah, that's the podcast. Raps Talk, episode 89. Follow us on the blogs, hoopjunkies.com, hoopsnorth.com. Follow us on Twitter, at Romy Kino, at Sean Francois, at Yui the Jock. We'll see you after Game 6. We out.